we have For Melancholy Brunettes, bracket, and Sad Women, close brackets, by Japanese Breakfast. And this is what I was a bit confused about. I guess this was your pick, Karl.
This was one that I picked this month simply because I think you and Kiley both claimed the ones that I was most excited for already. So it was it was a luxury.
Remember if I picked this or not?
No, that's why I asked at the beginning. I didn't know which was.
I think Kiley picked it, and then Brian announced his, and he was like, "Yeah, okay, that one." So I was like,
"Yeah."
Did Kiley a solid, and was like, "Oh, I'm quite intrigued by that record as well. I'll pick that one." So,
and are we the melancholy brunettes now who are talking about this? Is just to clarify, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That could be our
cool.
nickname.
No sad women on this spot.
But I think it was one of those. Kiley was hyped for this, and having enjoyed their last effort, Jubilee, was happy to get on board, pick this one. I'll start by saying, much like the Def Heaven record, this is maybe not much like the Def Heaven record, but certainly this is a big gear change, I would say, from the previous record. Again, I think where that one was full of these, big pop moments like Be Sweet, which absolutely fantastic single. And moments like that, just uplifted and really quite joyful. As you can probably guess from the title of the album, this is very much the flip side to that. It is what it says on the tin. It's for, melancholy women, brunettes, or, I don't know where we fall in, maybe miserable geezers and bolden blokes like myself.
Yeah, that'll be on the extended version later in the year.
Yeah, that'll be the deluxe. So expectedly a gloomier listen than its predecessor, but at the same time, some really beautiful moments. Here Is Someone is this like really quiet, understated opener. Orlando in Love, which was the single, which I absolutely adored. Michelle Zorner's voice, those strings, just a brilliant, brilliant track. Honey Water could be something off like the New Dad record that we reviewed last year. Then we get hints of The Cure and the instrumentation on Mega Circuit. Leader and the Little Girl, really stripped back song. You basically just got these, really sparse kind of acoustic guitars and Michelle Zorner's like vocals cutting into like, the dead space that kind of runs through that track. And then we get the dude himself, Jeff Bridges turning up on the, Men in Bars, which is like this really bluesy kind of number, which is like a pleasant surprise in the back end. And then, it's kind of more of the same from there. Winter in LA, Magic Mountain, again, just really tender, really intimate. The record itself reminded me a lot of Owen, in the fact that, it kind of gave me like the Falls of Sue air about it. Almost like it could be a companion piece to that record in, the textures and the feelings and the moods that it puts forward, which obviously in my book, replicating Mike Kinsella is never going to be a bad thing. So I'll just say another really pleasant record. Absolutely flies by as well. 30 minutes long, no bad moments. And it was not what I was expecting at all, given their previous record. But I think it's a really good counterpart to Jubilee, where that was kind of like this, happy and eclectic kind of pop record. This is a slightly darker, more stripped back affair. And it was one of those that at first I wasn't completely sold on it because it wasn't what I was expecting. But, having lived with it a bit more and played it a few more times, it's an album that's, just really easy listening, slowly starts to kind of stick with you the more you kind of come back to these songs. And it's one of those interesting to see where it lands come the end of the year. I think when it kind of hits, winter, it'll start to really sort of dig its sounds in, shall we say. So right now though, still a thumbs up from me.
a thumbs up from you, Kylie. It's essentially your second pick for this one.
It is not a thumbs up for me, and I think it's my my biggest disappointment of the year so far. Um, you know, I would consider Japanese Breakfast in Michelle's honor one of my favorite bands of the last. It's almost a decade now since Psychopomp came out, and I love her. I love the band. She's kept a consistent band through most of it. And Japanese Breakfast is one of those groups that my wife and I both share a huge admiration of. We've seen them many times, um, and I thought Jubilee was fantastic and was obviously really excited about this. Uh, like Magnolia for Death Heaven and saying, "Woo," Orlando in Love. I was kind of worried. It felt like a smaller piece to something more, which it really is. To start with the positives, I think when things do get going, quote unquote, as far as this record goes, Honey Water, Mega Circuit, and Picture Window are all really, really awesome songs. Kind of wish that there was more of that going on with this record. Um, and then the other one that I'm half into is Winter in LA. Um, Obviously indebted to Pet Sounds. But that song, it sounds kind of half baked to me, which the rest of the record gives me that vibe as well. I've listened to this album so much. I've been trying to figure out how a record can be so well produced and full of really great textures, but also feel half baked at the same time. Um, I think I've been thinking about it a lot, and I can officially say that even albums for Japanese Breakfast are not my favorite, and I like the odds. So Psychopomp and Jubilee, I think, are fantastic records. Soft Sounds I didn't like as much, but I do more so than this. It's just I, I appreciate what Michelle's Honor is going for on this record, but it just for 32 minutes for me, it just drags. And especially Little Girl, Lita, right in there, those songs back to back, and they're very similar. Just bring me down, and as much as I love the dude, one of my idols, love that guy. Was excited for him to show up. I guess it was fine. I do have to shout out really quick. It came out for Record Store Day. Jeff Bridges did a archival release called Soft Magic. That's a group of a set of home recordings from 1977 or 1978 that are it's full of drugs and booze and lo-fi sounds. And I have been listening to that far more than I have this record because it's just a lot more fun. So, there was a moment a couple weeks ago where I thought I'd come around on this record, and then I've gone back into just I don't- I hate to I hate to use bored with music because I always find something, but outside of those few tracks, it just I don't know. I think it feels like a transition record to me. So, in another 3-4 years, because I'm sure there's going to be a huge tour off of this record. We'll see what happens next on the next odd numbered record for Japanese Breakfast. But yeah, right now I'm just kind of bummed out about this record.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna lean more towards Karl's review here. I would though the half baked thing does echo some of my thoughts on this. So I'd say overall it's a very light and delicate album where a lot of the tracks I really like, but then they don't quite get to that point where I would love. And I'd say that for virtually the entire album, with actually the one absolute standout. And sorry, Kylie, but Men in Bars. I think I love that song. Love that song. That might feature quite highly in my songs of the year.
Listen to the song about King Kong from 1977.
It's not that. But about casual relationship with Men in Bars. I mean, it's it's there's I don't know. I think what I challenge myself to do is like look at the lyrics and does it give me a bit more of a portal into the album? And I think potentially by not doing that, that kind of delicate sort of slight nature of the album would have been more grating than I ended up finding it. But I found the lyrics very kind of literary style. They were a bit ye old worldy, and very, very evocative. Almost to the point of trying to shroud the true thoughts and what it's actually all about in this kind of bubble of, like I say, kind of quite, delicate wording. But I actually quite liked what's being done here by Michelle with the lyrics and it's a lot about relationships ultimately. And Men in Bars is kind of the kind of oh no, what have I done kind of thing, but actually it was heading that way. And I don't know, kind of the stasis of a relationship and not really knowing, like kind of needing and wanting them, but then at the same time feeling a bit uninspired in a relationship. That's the kind of vibes I was getting sort of thematically. So that kind of angle to it warmed me to it more than it might have done if I hadn't have trained myself. And to be honest, it's only for this podcast which I maybe do that so much, or for reviews. Casual listen, I wouldn't have gone into as much detail. Maybe this one would have just fallen down the cracks in that sense. But yeah, I think it was interesting, Karl, you said it reminded you of the Mike Kinsella Owen album. This reminded me of The Land Is Inhospitable and So Are We by Mitski. I think because which I love that album, and this one by Japanese Breakfast, I wouldn't say I love it, but I think it's a very, very good album for me. But it's kind of slightly paler imitation of what Mitski did on a last record, because I suppose the similarities are the very short songs. And I think with Mitski, they're kind of stuck a little bit more so. But I think actually what they do here with this album, like you get that same sense basically, and it's like lots of really enjoyable vignettes and actually quite a cohesive album from that lyrical perspective. So yeah, I warmed to it after that. I would be more. We'll stick to our trio in a row of 2 out of 3.